तो भारत और ऑस्ट्रेलिया की सीरीज की कवरेज आपको स्पोर्ट्स तक पर मिल रही है, मजा आ रहा है। हमने आपको वादा किया था द ग्रेट शेन वॉर्न का इंटरव्यू इस सीरीज पर हम लेकर आएंगे। तो डाफा न्यूज के ब्रांड एम्बेसडर शेन वॉर्न मेरे साथ थोड़ी देर पहले उन्होंने इंटरव्यू किया। आप पूरा इंटरव्यू सुनिए, मजेदार बातें हुई हैं। कुलदीप यादव कहते हैं कि भारत के तुरुप का इक्का होने चाहिए इस सीरीज में। हालांकि पता नहीं कुलदीप यादव सोच में है कि नहीं है। उन्होंने सीरीज की स्कोर लाइन भी प्रिडिक्ट की है। उन्होंने कहा है एडिलेड में ये टीम जीतेगी, ब्रिस्बेन में वो टीम जीतेगी, सिडनी में बरसात होगी और मेलबर्न में। वो पूरा इंटरव्यू सुनिए, आपको मजा बहुत आएगा। कई सारे बातों को लेकर मैंने आपकी सवाल भी रखे हैं जो आपने भेजे थे आस्क स्पोर्ट्स तक, आस्क बॉनी के लिहाज से। स्टीव स्मिथ, विराट कोहली, इस पर भी डिबेट हुआ है और इस पर भी चर्चा हुई है कि रोहित शर्मा के आने से क्या टीम को फायदा होगा या नुकसान। पूरा इंटरव्यू सुनिए और अगर अभी तक आपने स्पोर्ट्स तक को सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है तो प्लीज कर लीजिए। हेलो एंड वेलकम। दिस इज सपोज टू बी द बेस्ट एवर. While we are on the India-Australia series, I'll be joined by the greatest to play the game, Shane Warne. And Shane's joining us from Australia, and that's where the action lies. Thanks a lot, Shane, for taking time out for us.
No, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be on. It's an exciting time. We're only a few days out from the pink ball day-night test match, so I'm very excited. It should be a great series, two evenly matched teams, so I'm looking forward to the game. It should be great.
Shane, you said evenly matched teams. Are you going by the limited overs cricket that you had where Australia won a format, India won a format, or are you talking about the totality of India-Australia series?
I think if you look at both teams got very strong bowling. I think they both got terrific bowling teams, a lot of variety in their attack. And then you've got tremendous batsmen too. So I think the matchups, Pat Cummins to Virat Kohli, Mitchell Starc to KL Rahul, and then you go Bumrah to David Warner and Steve Smith, Shami to Labuschagne, all those little matchups. There's so many quality players on display from both these two sides. And if you look at the bowlers, Bumrah, Shami, probably going to be Sani, I think, will probably be the third seamer. They're very good. They're very, very good against the three Australians in Hazelwood, Cummins, Starc, three good quicks as well. So, and then you got Nathan Lyon. So, look, I think that I'm very excited about the contest. It's a little bit, you don't know what's going to happen with the pink ball under lights in Adelaide. We've seen in previous years the balls swing around. So techniques will be tested from the batsman because there's not too many wickets around the world these days that either seam or swing for the fast bowlers. It's all pretty straight. So to see the ball swing again is going to be great. And it's great to see the techniques of both these batsmen in India and Australia.
And such a pity, Shane, for this series, Australia are hampered. They don't have David Warner to begin with. India won't have Rohit Sharma to begin with. Then Virat Kohli comes back home after one test match. I mean, this series at least deserved a full house in terms of both the teams.
Yeah, I mean, I think David Warner will probably only miss the first test, I think. I think he'll be right after that. Unfortunately, Virat Kohli is gone back for his the birth of his child. So he'll only be available one test, which is a huge loss for India. The best batsman on the planet, averages over 50 in all forms, loves test cricket. That's a big loss for India. And I think India will struggle a little bit without Virat Kohli. But I reckon a lot of the batsmen will step up. Sometimes everyone goes, wow, what are we going to do without Virat? Oh, no, it's going to be a whitewash to Australia. But a lot of these quality Indian players are very, very good. And I think the extra responsibility on the KL Rahuls, the Rahanes and the like, I reckon that they might step up, and I reckon it's going to be a great series. I think it's going to be very, very good.
Shane, 2 years ago, India did beat Australia in Australia. That was the first time India won a test series there. Again, we know that Warner wasn't there, Steve Smith wasn't there, Labuschagne wasn't what he is now.
Yep.
India are going to Australia with the hope of doing well. Australia have been seething for 2 years. When you were playing cricket, you would always predict the series beforehand. What's your prediction for the test series?
Well, India deserved to win that series a couple of years ago because they were the better team. And we are so lucky in all of us lovers of the game of Test cricket when Virat Kohli, who is probably the biggest superstar in cricket at the moment, he said that Test cricket is the most important form of the game. And I've got to say, huge congratulations to the BCCI, the way they've structured their first-class cricket. Players are actually going back to first-class cricket. They have to make runs to get selected. I reckon in the time I played India, it was a lot more on one-day cricket. There was no T20, obviously, but it was all one-day cricket focused. And then suddenly it switched. And India now have become one of the best sides in the world, if not the best, in the Test match arena. So, and that's fantastic. So it's great to see what they've done, India, to put that challenges on that. I think the IPL has helped when you have all the international fast bowlers coming to play in the IPL and the batsmen, these terrific young batsmen from India facing the quality international fast bowlers. The pitches are now in India are starting to be conducive to fast bowlers, and India are producing lots of fast bowlers too. So, I'm just thoroughly looking forward to this series. Who do I think will win? Oh, I think Australia will win in these home conditions. I mean, it's not an easy one, but part of me, my head sort of says India, my heart says Australia. But I think with only Virat Kohli playing that first Test match, I think Australia might have a bit too much firepower. So I'll say 2-1 to Australia.
2-1 to Australia. That's a fair assessment, Shane. Virat Kohli, it's been almost a year now. In fact, more than a year since he scored a international century. You know, somebody who was getting centuries in night, morning, afternoon, is struggling for a century. I mean, that's what cricket does. 2 knocks, maybe, this year, in this series he gets, and that too in a pin called Test match. How would you look at the practice games that India has had? I mean, I was feeling, for example, I thought maybe Virat could have played the last game. It was an opportunity for him to get used to the Kookaburra pink ball. How would you look at that?
Look, I wouldn't be reading too much in the statistics. It's been, what about the weird year we've had? He hasn't played a lot of games because of COVID and how difficult a time it's been for everyone around the world. So difference if he had played another 10 Test matches in 21 days, he would have made a lot more than 100. He would have made lots of them because he's a quality player. So I wouldn't be worried about that statistic. Whether he should have played the last game or not, well, I don't think he needed to. The Indian boys did a great job. And I think with what's coming up for him and how much pressure is going to be on him in Adelaide and the Indian team, I think it was right for him to freshen up. He played all 6 white ball games, and they were basically back-to-back. Every second day there was a game. So it's been a pretty tough time there. Some of the bowlers had a good workout for India with a pink ball, and they had a terrific game in that first-class game. That was in the tour game. So they did really well. Blew Australia away. So, look, I think they've got some good form leading in it. Virat's going to be freshened up and ready to go. So, geez, it's like, well, it is Christmas time. So it's only like a couple of sleeps away till the first Test. It feels like Christmas Eve. I'm so excited. But, look, Virat will be fine. And I'm expecting a big one from him in Adelaide.
Would India miss Rohit Sharma, the opener, for the first 2 Test matches, even though he's not opened overseas?
Rohit Sharma's a class player. I wish he, as a cricket lover, I wish he was available. I wish he was here for the white ball games. He's such a wonderful player. It's a shame he's only going to miss the first 2 Tests, but he's available after that. And India will need him for those last 2 Test matches. They really will need Rohit Sharma. So fingers crossed that he'll be back here and performing well.
Well, Nathan Lyon, Shane, and you yourself, you picked so many wickets in India-Australia series. Nathan Lyon was the highest wicket taker the last time India went there. In the practice game, I don't know whether they were trying a new formula, but they did not play any spinner. Would you be surprised if India actually went into the Test match with 4 fast bowlers and no spinner at all?
India's interesting. I mean, in our time, obviously, all through the 90s and the 2000s, India, the spinners with Harbhajan and Kumble, and there's been so many others. Venkatapati Raju was a terrific, Anil Kumble. There's so many wonderful spinners that India have had through our time, and India's bowling was based on spin bowling. But as I said earlier, India had a real shift to fast bowling, producing fast bowlers and playing fast bowlers so they could win away from home, because they were very tough to beat at home, but struggled in my time to win away. Like when we played India in Australia, we in the 90s, we won 4-0 in my first series, 91-92. I think we won 4-0 again, or 3-1 somewhere.
4-0
So
it was. The Sydney test was
4-0.
drawn.
Yeah, but yeah. So, and then later on when I retired, India came here and I think they leveled the series 1-1. So there's
That
a real
was 2003, and India lost after your retirement. They lost 2-1. I mean 1-2. That was the Monkey Gate series.
That's right. So if you go back with the 4-0, 4-0, they started to get better, a bit like what we did in India. We took a lot of time to get ready how to work out the Indian conditions, and we struggled a little bit the first few times, but then we won. And India struggled a lot the first few times they came, and then eventually they won. But they won 2 years ago for the first time ever in India because of their fast bowlers and the way their batsmen face fast bowlers. So I don't think the four pace attack will work. I think you need that variety in your attack. So I'd say Jadeja will probably play, won't he? Won't Jadeja play that first test match, or you think Ashwin
No,
will play?
he's down with the hamstring and the concussion. So they've got Ravichandran Ashwin or Kuldeep Yadav. Kuldeep Yadav, I don't
Kuldeep
think
Yadav
would
is a
be,
fantastic.
yeah.
I love watching Kuldeep bowl. I think he suits Australian conditions better than Ashwin. Ashwin has really struggled in Australia. He hasn't really performed that well here. But Kuldeep Yadav has done really well. So well, if they're going to play spin and Jadeja's out, then I'd probably pick Kuldeep Yadav.
Shen, one question for you, since we've been asking for the audience to send in their questions. Ask Warne is the hashtag that is trending in India right now. Former India off spinner Romesh Pawar had this question for you, wherein he asked, why is Nathan Lyon so successful in Australia while the Indian finger spinners have generally struggled now? And secondly, Nathan Lyon's record in the pink ball test matches suggests that he's from a different planet.
I know, just because the pink ball swings and moves, it doesn't mean the spinners can't play a part, because there's still 4 hours of test match cricket in daylight. It's only the last session that is under lights. So the spinner still has a big role to play. Why is he so successful? I think he changes his pace really well. And I think the Indian spinners generally bowl a bit too fast here in Australia, and they undercut the ball. They bowl a lot more side spin, was what you need to do in India. In Australia, you need to bowl more overspin in Australia and get more bounce, because there's so much more bouncier pitches. You don't really see big spinning pitches in Australia, but you'll get a lot of fast bounce, which means if someone pushes forward, you haven't got time to adjust, because the ball will get the edge of the bat. Where in India, you can go off the back foot because of the slowness of the pitch and play it off the back foot. So that's why one of the reasons Nathan Lyon's so successful. And also, he's got 3 quality quick bowlers that take early wickets. So when he comes on to bowl, he's generally in a very good position. In the past, India bowlers, spinners have struggled because the quick bowlers hadn't taken any early wickets. So the spinner's job's harder. But 2 years ago, as I said earlier, the quick bowlers did an unbelievable job, which made the spinner's job easier too. So I think that's why Nathan Lyon's been so successful in Australia, where if you look at all the spinners in Australia from all the teams over the years, they've struggled. And Australia play pretty good. They play spin bowling well in Australia conditions.
So are you suggesting now that since Jadeja is not available, Shane, you would rather play Kuldeep Yadav as the only spinner than Ashwin?
Yes, I'd go Kuldeep. I'd have your 3 quicks, and then I'd play Kuldeep. I'd definitely play Kuldeep ahead of Ashwin.
And looking at both the teams, somehow, Shane, both the teams are now struggling with the openers, while India are not very sure who's to send in with Mayank Agarwal. Is it Prithvi Shaw? Is it Shubman Gill? There were suggestions about KL Rahul as well as an opener. Australia are also struggling. Even they haven't still finalized the 2 who would walk out.
Yeah, I would have thought that KL Rahul and Agarwal together are fantastic. I'd say they would probably open. And then, Pujara 3, Kohli 4, Rahane 5. And then 6, who would you have at 6, would you think?
Vihari.
I think Vihari will bowl 6. He can bowl a bit of part-time off-spin as well.
Yes.
And then would you have Rishabh Pant or Saha at 7? You'd have Pant, wouldn't you, at 7?
Who would you play? Rishabh Pant?
I'd play Rishabh Pant at 7. I think he's such a dangerous batsman. Saha is as good a keeper. He's a great gloveman, but I think Rishabh Pant with his batting, I'd have him at 7, and then your 4 bowlers. I'd have Kuldeep as the wrist spinner. I'd have Bumrah, Shami, and Sony. I'd have those 3 as my quickies. With Tyagi knocking on the door, I think Tyagi, even though he's a young fella,
Umesh Yadav is also there.
Yeah, Umesh Yadav as well. I mean, jeez, him or Saini, I suppose that's a feel thing. Whether he wants a bit more line and length or whether Virat wants a bit extra pace. So they'll have a look at the wicket and decide probably that third seaming position. But yeah, it's great to have that depth for India to pick. But I'd definitely go for the wrist spinner. I'd have Kuldeep Yadav. But I'd love to have Hardik Pandya in the Test side. I'm a little bit surprised. I love him. I've said weeks ago he's in my top 3 favourite cricketers on the planet. I love him. And everyone goes, geez, that's a big call. I said, no, he's awesome. And then suddenly he did what he did in the T20s and 1Days. And now everyone's jumping on the bandwagon. How good's Hardik Pandya? So I'd love to have him, see him in the Test side. I think he's in such great form. The loss of Virat Kohli, I think he brings a lot more to the table than just batting and maybe a few overs with the ball. I think he helps the Indian team walk a bit taller. He's a bit of a rock star. He's got that swagger. He's got the strut. He's Mr. Cool. When he speaks, you think he's from the West Indies. You think he's he's just come off the beach in Antigua. He's like a swagger. He's like, yeah, man, he's cool. So it'd be great to see Pandya batting number 6 or even Rishabh Pant 6, Pandya 7 as the 5th bowling option. I'd like to see that. But hopefully when he's back bowling full-time, he'll be back in the Test side. But India got so much depth. It's going to be a good side. Australia's opening, they're in disarray, Australia, with the opening batsman. I mean, Joe Burns, I backed Joe Burns. I wanted him to play a couple of weeks ago when I was asked. I said Joe Burns and David Warner for me should open and they should stick with Joe Burns. But he's had 8 hits and made 60-odd runs and doesn't look like making a run. So it's a real concern. I'm not sure how the selectors can pick Joe Burns now. So I think Marcus Harris, the left-hander, will come in. And Will Pucovski's got concussion again for the 9th time. So that's that's a huge concern. I would actually personally open with Matthew Wade. I know he doesn't normally open, but I think Wade and Harris, because I think Wade's in the top 6 batsmen in Australia. But I think the only real spot for him would be opening the batting. Because if you have Wade and Harris, you're going to have Labuschagne at 3, Smith at 4, Travis Head 5, and probably young Cameron Green at number 6, as long as he recovers from his concussion. I'm not sure if you saw it the other day when the ball got hit.
I saw that.
So nasty.
It was scary.
Oh, but that creates a lot of debate, doesn't it? Imagine with T20 how hard, like a Hardik and these guys, David Warner, hit the ball, Marcus Stoinis, how hard they hit it. There's not much time for the bowler to react, but the bowler can't bowl in a helmet. It's physically impossible for the bowler to run in a helmet. So, I mean, it's a bit of an issue that has to come up, and I don't know how to fix it. I really don't know what to do about to fix it. But, it'd be interesting to see what Australia go with in the end at the top of the order because, ideally they wanted Warner and Burns, but with Burns failing so many times and so out of form, it'd be interesting to see who they end up opening with.
So you're saying Wade and Marcus Harris should open. Labuschagne, number 3. Steve Smith, 4. Travis Head is 5. And 6 is Cameron Green, is it?
Yeah, I'd have Cameron Green at number 6. If Cameron Green doesn't come up, I would actually put Matthew Wade down to number 6 and bring in Sean Marsh to open. Oh, that's what I would do if Cameron Green doesn't come up.
And then Tim Payne and the 3 pacers and Nathan Lyon.
Yeah, Tim Payne at 7. Cummins, Stark, Hazelwood, Lyon would be the bowlers.
Would that be a wrong assessment, Shane, if I were to say that since India won the last series in Australia, that was also because of the runs that India put on board? Because traditionally, India struggled in terms of batting also. No doubt, Australia had the best bowlers in that series as well. So if India could get to 350, 375, maybe they've got a chance to win test matches?
Absolutely. I mean, you have to score big in your first innings here in Australia. If you don't score big in your first innings, you're in a bit of trouble. But, if for the fans out there and the viewers, in Adelaide, if you make 300, you're doing pretty well because it's pretty difficult out there. So if you look at the scores in the last few years of the pink ball test matches, there aren't too many big scores. The bowlers dominate. So any score is a good score for the batsman. But the real key, if India to win this test match for the batting, just for the batting side of things, is you have to get through that new ball. The Kookaburra ball for 30 overs around that first session that you bat, the first 2 hours. After that, it gets a lot easier. It's hot, the wickets flatten out, and it's where the spin comes in, and you rotate the quicks at the other end.
And there's no saliva that you can put on the ball.
Well, you can't do any of that now, can you? So there's not going to be much swing. It's very difficult. So you get through that first 30 overs and you can make some big scores.
Well, Shane, after Virat comes back, I know Virat, the aggressive captain, Virat, the aggressive batsman, the world's best. Would you miss him more as a batsman or as a captain?
Oh, I think India will miss him as a batsman. He's so good. I mean, of course, they're going to miss his captaincy and what he brings to the table. His energy and everything he brings. He's great for the game. I mean, he wears his heart on his sleeve. He's emotional, and he's getting. I love watching him play. But his batting. He's so good. I mean, he's the best batsman in the world. So, you're going to miss the best batsman in the world in any team, no matter what it is. So I'd say they're going to miss his batting. Is Rahane going to be captain? Is it? Well,
yes, he's the one. And you worked a lot with him also.
I was going to say I've worked a lot with Jinx, and he's a very, very good tactician. He thinks about the game really well. So they'll be fine, the leadership and captaincy wise, but they'll really miss Virat's batting.
So you assume that Rahane could be a good stand-in captain when Virat is not there.
Yes. Yeah, no, I think Jinx has done a good job when he's done it in the past. I think he'll do a good job again.
Shane, good India. The series is not starting in Sydney because Steve Smith scored some billion runs and his average is some 500 million in Sydney. How critical would Steve Smith be in this series?
People can debate whether Smith or Kohli is the best batsman in Test cricket. I think across the board, Virat Kohli is the best batsman in the world. I think in Test cricket, there's the big three. Kane Williamson, Virat Kohli, Steve Smith. They're the best three Test batsmen on the planet. And they're sort of the big three that we all like to watch. There's obviously a few other good players, but not in their class. So Steve Smith to the Australian side. I mean, Labuschagne has been unbelievable. He's last since that Ashes 18 months ago. He's been phenomenal. So to him at number 3 and Smith at number 4, they're pretty good. They've become best friends. They bat extremely well together. But Steve Smith's at class. He's just such a good player. I'm really interested to see what tactics India come up with. Are they going to go the short pitch bowling to him? Will they have a leg slip around the corner? I'm really interested to see what tactics Ravi Shastri, Virat, and the other big bowlers come up with to see how they bowl to Steve Smith when he first gets in. I'm really interested to see that. If I was India, I'd be going after him with a short stuff and a leg slip and see what he does. But yeah, I'm very, very curious to see what they come up with.
What would this series mean to world cricket, Shane? Because the World Test Championship also depends a lot on the series. Australia are now number 1 after the format has been changed. India started well; they've been winning, but this series is very critical.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't think there's much difference between Australia and India in the Test match arena. I think they're both, as I said, they're very evenly matched sides. So I don't think there's much between them. The rankings are the rankings, and then that's well and good. But I tell you what, it's very hard to pick. The only reason I'm leaning towards Australia at 2-1 is because it's in the home conditions of Australia, and Australia do play pretty well here, even though India beat Australia last time. I think Smith and Labuschagne, the way they're playing, the form they're in is a big addition. So yeah, look, I think it's going to be a very good contest between both the sides.
Well, it's either the method in madness or it's madness in the method.
Exactly.
Ankush Sharma sent in a question, and since he's an old connoisseur of cricket, so he wanted to ask you, if Shane Warne were still playing cricket, what would be your number 1 format? Would it be T20s, ODIs, or Test cricket?
I love all forms of the game. I love them all. My favourite is Test cricket, and the reason is it's the ultimate test of a cricketer. T20, I can bowl as good as I can bowl and go for plenty. I get smacked out the park. I can have a bad day
and still
take
pick a
plenty
few
of
wickets.
And, I can bowl rubbish and get hit, but also take wickets. In Test cricket, there might be a spell here or there that I get whacked or take a few wickets, but over the course of 5 days, 2 innings, I think it tests every part of your character, not just your cricket skill. There's the mental side of it. There's the preparation, the patience, the discipline. There's over 5 days in the hot sun for 6 hours a day standing out there. There's concentration, patience. There's so many variables that go into it. The situation of the game, the pitch, the weather conditions. There's so many things that you've got to put in to be successful. And the best side will always win a test match. The best side doesn't necessarily always win a T20 game or a one-dayer either. But the best side will always win a test match over 5 days. So I liked the drama. I liked the artistry. I liked just the toughness that was required of a test match. 4 overs in a T20 game, you're not even warmed up in 4 overs in a T20 match. It doesn't matter. But Test cricket needs T20. And T20 needs Test cricket. I'll put it to you this way.
Yes.
We all like a little bit of fast food, whether it's, drive-through, had a burger and chips. But if we had that all the time, let's call that T20, fast food cricket, we'd get sick of it and we'd crave a 3-course meal, sit at a table. The test match, over time, we enjoy the company, have a chat over a 3-course meal. So life is about balance. You need a bit of both. And test cricket needs T20, T20 needs test cricket. Because if you had too many sit-down 3-course meals, you'd crave a drive-through burger and chips. And you want some T20. So you need both. And one-day cricket sits in the middle of that. And that's got the World Cups as well as the T20. So I think all cricket needs each. But if you ask me my preference, Test cricket wins for me every day because that is the ultimate test of a cricketer. And if we talk about the greatest players we've ever seen, we talk about what they did in the Test match arena.
And what you did. Shane, you, while describing Test cricket, you said drama. Of course, skill and drama. Now, I've been wanting to ask you for more than 2 decades now, what happened that last ball when you bowled to Basit Ali? I mean, I've asked him a number of times. Even he doesn't know what happened. I mean, you were about to bowl the last ball, then you called Healy. What exactly did you discuss other than your dinner plans?
Well, basically, Basit Ali had held us up all day. Every over, we were waiting for him to be ready, and he was annoying us all day. So I got to the last ball of the day, and I basically went, right, he can wait for us this time. And I remember I said, Heels to Ian Healy, the wicketkeeper, come up. And he went, no, mate, we want to get off. I said, no, come on, Heels. And he goes, no. I said, please just come up. And everyone's like, come on, let's go. I said, yep. So Heels come up. He said, mate, we all want to get off the ground. Come on, let's get off the ground. We want to get off and have a beer off the ground. I said, well, just make him wait. So anyway, I made him wait. And I got the last ball. I bowled this ball. He went to pat it up, and it went through his legs and bowled him. So it was like one of those things that was pretty special.
And Shane, the ODI series and the T20s, honors even, a fair statement of both the teams, Australia winning the ODIs and India the T20s?
Yeah, I think both teams nearly had the opportunity, probably besides the first 2 games where Australia batted so well. Glenn Maxwell was outstanding in those 2 one-dayers. I think since those last 4 white ball games, the last 2 one day and the 3 T20s, I think any team could have won. But I love the way I thought the Indian team showed a lot of character to bounce back after 2-0. Australia lost the next 3 games. So they lost the last one-day game. They lost the first 2 one-day games, then fought back and won that last T20. But look, it shows you how evenly matched sides. There wasn't much between the 2 teams. Both with the bat and the ball. So, yeah, pretty evenly matched, I reckon.
Shane, I've just got a few questions from the audience.
Okay.
If you permit, I can ask them.
Shoot.
So this has come through the Instagram and Twitter with the hashtag Ask Warne, Dafa News Warne, Warne on Sports Talk. I mean, the hashtags have been trending. Chaitanya has asked you, which fast bowling unit is better? in the test matches? Is it the Indians or the Australians?
Oh, that's a tough one. I mean, Bumrah is just outstanding. Shami probably presents the scene better than anyone else, and his straightness when he bowls with the older ball is probably better than anyone. And then whether you go Yadav or Sani to bowl as the third seamer, I mean, it's a really tough question. I think in Australian conditions, I'd have to say the Aussie bowlers in Cummins, Stark, Hazelwood. In India, probably the Indian bowlers. I think they know how to bowl with India a lot better than the Aussie fast bowlers. That's not to say the Aussie bowlers can't do it. They've done a great job. But I think the Aussie bowlers just know the conditions better in Australia. And the Kookaburra ball, what length to bowl here. We have to bowl at a fraction fuller. You can't get too short. Yeah, look, it's a tough one. But I'd say just the Aussies in Australia and Indians in India. That's not sitting on the fence. It's just... yeah, it's a tough one to call.
So Vishal wants to know from you if Warner not being there in the series opener tilts the game in India's favor. The pink ball test.
I think it's India's best chance to win a test match is the first test in Adelaide with the pink ball, with their pace attack and with Virat in their side. I think they have to win Adelaide. If they don't win Adelaide at India, I think they could be in a bit of trouble in Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane. I think Australia will win Brisbane. I mean, they haven't lost a test match there for, is it 30 odd years, 35 years? Yeah. I don't think Australia's lost a test match in Brisbane. So I think Australia will win in Brisbane. I reckon India will probably win in Adelaide. It's rained in Sydney for the last 3 or 4 years. Every test match has been a draw. I think they've manufactured a win somewhere along that way. So let's say Sydney gets washed out with a draw. That leaves Melbourne as the deciding test match for me.
It's your home.
And it's my home. So it has to be an Australian win at my home. That's why I think Australia will win 2-1.
My colleague Rahul Rawat also wants to know from you, can Rahane, because since you already worked a lot with him, can Rahane also step up as a batsman? Because he's been going through a bad patch recently. I mean, not bad patch, but very average returns. So Rahane, the captain, Rahane, the batsman, can he step up?
I think yes. I think everyone's, as I said earlier, I think everyone's worried about, what's going to happen when Virat goes? Oh, no, we're in real trouble. But when an opportunity presents itself, the real characters, the real guys that are determined and are hungry, they'll step up to the plate. And Rahane is one of those guys. And I think the captaincy, trying to take over from Virat to help the team and lead the team, I think it'll bring out, I think it'll bring out the best in him for the test matches after Adelaide. So absolutely, he'll send up for sure. And is there any chance Hardik Pandya can fly over for the test matches?
No. He's come back already. He's tending to his family and his child. Virat did say after the ODIs and the T20s that for Hardik to play, he's got to bowl. And Hardik himself said that since he can't bowl now, he will not be playing. So it's been a bit of a stalemate. I don't think he can. Rohit Sharma is going to fly off, in fact, tonight. And Rohit Sharma will be available for the third and the fourth test matches.
Oh, he's got to do the 14-day self-quarantine before he's available.
Yeah. No, it's going to be the hard quarantine. It's a hard quarantine. So the quarantine ends by the time the Boxing Day test match ends.
Yeah, the 14 days. That's what you
week.
have to do.
Yeah. So he'll have about a week for the test match.
Yeah.
I
understand, because I had to do the 14 days at a little hotel room when I came back from Dubai after the IPL. So, yeah, it's not much fun in that room. Merry Christmas to Rohit in his room. I hope his friends and family deliver him some presents and some food.
Thanks a lot, Shane. It's been a pleasure, as always. And thanks to Dafa News for bringing you in. I mean, the best on what is perceived to be the best series of cricket internationally. Thank you, Shane Warne.
No, thank you very much for having me, guys. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy the series. And Dafa News, I mean, I've been an ambassador for Dafa for a long time now. They're wonderful. They give me great updates on the cricket. I check out the Dafa News all the time. So to all my Indian fans and followers over there, make sure you check out Dafa News.
And we go to the DAFA News website and participate in contests as well. Many members
Do
of
it.
my
How good are the
team,
contests too?
oh, they've been winning. They've been winning a lot. In fact, they had told us that the best from our sports team, we also got a T-shirt signed by Mr. Shane Warne. We are waiting for that.
My pleasure, guys. It's on the way.
Thanks a lot, Shane.
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Pleasure. Bye.